Hello! Today I've got another nail art tutorial for you. This time it's of the fairy tale of Rapunzel. You know, the one with the really long hair. Let's get started. First thing I used was Sinful colors in the shade Cinderella. Ironically, yep. Very nice shade of blue. Also I used a lot of acrylic paint, like really a lot of acrylic paint this time. As well as a tiny detail brush to apply said acrylic paint. And also the Catrice Matte More top coat. For this particular look I really liked the sort of matte but not completely matte effect, like matte with slight glitter in it. So yeah, I just painted my nails with some scenes from the fairy tale. This time I didn't actually have any example photos or, drawings from a fairy tale book. I just pretty much did the basics, like it's, pretty simple fairy tale in terms of, images. For those of you who might not know the fairy tale, I think most people do, but still, I'll just tell you what it's about. There is a couple, like a man and the woman is pregnant, and then suddenly she has a craving for Rapunzels, which are some sort of vegetable that I have personally never heard of. But anyway, yeah, those happen to grow in the garden of their neighbor, who happens to be a witch. So yeah, instead of just doing the normal people thing and asking her for a piece of vegetables, the husband decides to instead steal some Rapunzels from the garden of the witch, which is not a smart thing to do, as he also figured out soon enough. Because of course he got caught, and the witch said she would let him go on one condition. He would have to give her the child once it was born. Obviously not before it was born. Not that gruesome, but yeah. Point is, so yeah, like he didn't want to be killed or turned into a toad or anything unfortunate like that. So of course he agreed and didn't tell his wife until the point where he could no longer hide it because the child was born and the witch came to collect it. So yeah, the child obviously was Rapunzel, who grew up to be incredibly beautiful and have beautiful long hair. So the witch, I'm not sure what the reason for it was. Maybe she just didn't want Rapunzel to be taken away from her, or maybe she was jealous. I don't know, either way, whatever her reasons were, she decided to lock Rapunzel up in a tower, a very tall tower without any doorways. Come to think of it, they never quite explained how Rapunzel got in there in the first place. But the witch then got in by telling Rapunzel to let down her hair so the witch could climb up and bring her food and such. And yeah, then one day a prince actually came by because it's a fairy tale, so of course there's also a prince. And he saw that happening, and he also saw that Rapunzel was incredibly beautiful, so of course he wanted to save her. I always sort of wonder if a fairy tale princess would be ugly, would anyone actually bother to save her? Because it seems to be a recurring theme that fairy tale princesses always need to be extraordinarily beautiful. But yeah, either way she was, so he decided to save her. And yeah, so he actually, like at this point, the more friendly fairy tales actually differ from the less friendly actual myth. I'm not exactly sure how it went. It's not actually one of my favorite fairy tales. I do like it, but it's not one that I've read very often. But the more gruesome version is that the witch actually caught the prince and actually was waiting for him at the top and pushed him down and blinded him. But somehow he eventually got to the princess anyway, and then he wasn't blind anymore for some reason. Although to some, according to some other stories, he actually remained blind for the rest of his life, and there was no happy ending. But of course, in the actual fairy tale version, he did actually get to the princess, defeated the witch, took the princess home, and then she was actually a princess, actually, because to begin with, she was just a girl, I think. I don't think she was a princess to begin with. Point is, he was a prince, he took her home, and then later they probably became king and queen. So yeah, and that was the happy ending version. So yeah, I think it's a fun fairy tale. Especially just because it seems so, I don't know. I'd be very curious if I'd encounter a tower like that, what would be on top. So I think, like, in olden days, it was probably a very interesting thought, really, to go look for a tower like that. But yeah, anyway, like I said, it's not one of my favorite fairy tales, so I don't particularly know how the actual story went. I do know that there's also a Disney movie of it, but I've never seen it. But yeah, what I decided to paint on my nails of that particular story is, of course, Rapunzel in her tower. with her hair down, so you can actually tell it's her. Yeah. Then the tower on its own, surrounded by the forest, because of course it was a tower deeply hidden in the forest, because you're not, even as a witch, you're probably not going to hide someone in a tower in the center of a busy city. That would sort of stand out, so yeah, it was in the middle of a forest. And then lastly here we have the prince, who's about to climb up on the hair of Rapunzel, and then just a little bit of the tower on the side there. And yeah, once everything is dry, I didn't used to do this, but these days I actually do force myself to have the patience to wait for stuff to dry and then do the outline. It just makes stuff a lot easier because, like, with most colors I sort of want them to blend and look soft. But I don't want the black to blend and I don't want the black to look soft. I want it to look like an outline. So these days I actually do wait for the acrylic paint to dry and then do the outline. And what I always do, I think I've explained this before, but in case you haven't watched my other videos, I'll just explain it again. What I always do is dip my brush in the black paint and then just pretty much just, make a stroke of paint on paper. Just so the hairs of the brush turn completely flat. And then I use the flat side to very carefully paint a very, very, very thin outline. I really need to find an even thinner brush, but this is literally the thinnest brush I've ever encountered and it's still too thick. So yeah. If anyone has any advice on what brushes you really like for nail art, I'd love to hear about it. And once the outline was also dry, I added a top coat, the Matte More top coat from Catrice with the, it is matte, but with shimmers in it, which I think is perfect for Fairytale. And then here is the finished look, with Rapunzel in the tower, and then the tower itself hidden in the forest. And then the prince about to climb up on the tower. And yeah, that's my take on Rapunzel nail art. Hope you enjoyed watching this. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time. Bye!